it's Kristen from blueeggbrownNest.com. I write a daily blog called Blue Egg Brown Nest where I talk about chalk painting techniques, how to refinish furniture, talk about vintage finds, decorating, accessorizing your home. I have a lot of content on there, so check it out at blueeggbrownNest.com. Today I'm going to talk about painting hardware. I've had some requests about what to do, when to paint hardware on a dresser, and I thought this would be a perfect example. My rule of thumb is that if you have an older piece that has really cool and interesting hardware, I like to keep it. If it's something that is older and it's something that's interesting, it's going to make the piece kind of preserve its natural and original look, I keep it. If it's hardware that's a bit brassy, like this one, it's going to kind of detract from the piece. It's going to kind of make the piece a little less cohesive. It's going to kind of disrupt the flow and the look of the piece. Then I paint it. I had a conversation with the client of this piece. Her name is Anne, and she's having me do this for her daughter's room. And she's having me do it in old white. And so our conversation was about, well, if it's old white and it's going in your daughter's room, you probably don't need a pop of that metal coming through. You probably want it more of a shabby, softer look, which is what you're going to get when you paint the hardware. I know some people don't like the idea of painted hardware. They think it's odd. They think it's, why would you paint metal? But it's actually a really good look for a certain number of pieces. If you are going to paint hardware and you're doing it for a client, be careful, because your client might change their mind and want to add different hardware later. So say these were really ugly knobs and the client was like, oh, I don't know, maybe I'll keep it, maybe I won't. You will take that hardware, that little knob off, you will set it aside, paint that, paint your drawer. This hardware is really cool, and she probably will not take it off, so that's why I'm painting it on the drawer. The other thing you need to know is that you're probably not going to want to use your big oval Annie Sloan brush. This is great when you want to do large flat surfaces. I get a lot of questions about how to eliminate your paint and brush strokes. The deal is, as paint, you're not going to eliminate all of them, but you will really cut them down if you use a good quality and large brush like this one, where you would just go over your flat surface. You'll go over your flat surface like that. It's really worth the money to do something quality. Now, when you're doing detail work like hardware or little crevices or even these little lines here, these details, I like to use a smaller brush. This is just my Home Depot cheapo brush. You can see it's even been brushed to a point. Originally it was flat, but I always gravitate towards this brush for doing detail work. So you really don't have to spend a lot of money if you're doing smaller areas. Now if I did this to the flat surface, I would see a ton of brush strokes. That's when you want to use your bigger brush. I was just at my stockist, Stylish Patina, in Falls Church, and she is now carrying Annie Sloan's tiny brushes, pure bristle brushes. This would also be a really good one for those areas and those crevices. I hadn't seen the tiny ones before, but they're awesome. As you can see, I'm already starting a piece in the garage in the French linen with that color. So basically, you want your small detail brush. You can see I've kind of gone over this already, so I'm gonna go over here. Hope you can see me. Here goes my shoe. So I dip it in, I wipe off the excess, and I'm just gonna go in and I'm gonna paint all the details. Now, I don't want texture on my hardware. Maybe you do, maybe that's a preference. If I wanted texture, I don't know, I do something like that. I don't want it. So I'm just going to smoothly go over, make sure there's no drip marks. If you do get drip marks, you can kind of just peel it off on your hardware. It's a little bit different on metal. You probably would need to go back over it if you have a drip mark. But just try to make it smooth and clean as possible. And continue on. I don't know if you can see some of this detail on this hardware, but really, I'm not going to worry about getting it completely covered, because when I go back to do any distressing, it's kind of like a natural distressing that's already happening with that part of the hardware. Again, you want to keep going. You get the idea. I'll probably do 2 or 3 coats on this hardware. I don't want to see any of the metal coming through. The other thing you need to know is that when you go to clear wax your piece, you have a choice. You can either not clear wax your hardware. I tend to do it just because I want to make sure the color is cohesive, that it's all one color. They don't have a different color on the hardware, because when you clear wax, it will come a few shades darker. So what you want to do is you clear wax your hardware, your metal, but you really want to go over it with your rag at the end after you clear wax, because it will just sit on your metal. It'll kind of seep into your wood when you clear wax, but when it's metal, it'll just kind of hang out there, and when your client goes to open the drawer, they'll be like, oh, it's still wet, as still as paint. That's not really paint. Ollie, I just noticed that my cat is outside, and I don't know how that happened. And you know I'm obsessed with my cats. And he's not an outdoor cat. I'm just not going to freak out right now. Anyway, so really make sure that you go over your clear wax and you take it all off. I will say that sometimes older hardware, if you put the clear wax on, you will kind of notice a blue happening coming through sometimes. I don't know why that happens. My dad would know better. Some maybe oxidation of the metal. Don't yell at me because I don't know what I'm talking about with that part, but you will sometimes notice the blue part. So you just clear that off. It's something to do with the metal and the wax. So you just clean that off a little bit. And again, your choice is whether or not to wax your hardware or not. So that's it. If you have any more questions or ideas for me on new tutorials, email me. Again, it's Blue Egg Brown Nest, and I do refinishing for clients, and I also sell my own pieces. I will be doing the Luckett's Spring Market in Luckett's, and I look forward to seeing you guys there. Check out my Facebook page. I do updates and pictures and things there. And I'm going to go get my wandering orange cat right now. Bye!